How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Match 44, defending champions and just slipping off the IPL trophy. It's now or never territory, you'd think, with how the league is going for the Kolkata Knight Riders up against them. Team that they still believe, they're still perhaps stuck up on how they didn't beat in the reverse fixture. Punjab Kings and KKR always give us talking points. Highest run chase this time last year at the Eden Gardens. Lowest chase defended successfully earlier this season. Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket Info Timer is all set for KKR versus PBKS. And shall we warmly welcome Anil Kumble for the first time in this tournament? Yes.
And
great man.
Studio is quite nice and warm as well. So
We've actually been freezing all these days, Anil. It's the first time.
It's nice to be.
You have the good company of Dustin to your right, doubling up as our analyst today. And Dennis.
Sorry, yeah.
Looking
back,
good.
Yeah.
You look
Let
nice.
me back in the building.
Yeah. Wedding bells around the corner, Dennis?
Yeah, for me as well. Let's have more. Well, yeah, more than one wife. So,
Well, good evening and welcome back to Danny Morrison. Is it fair to say it's now or never territory for KKR, defending champions and all that, but 3 wins out of 9, Anil Kumble, it's not gone according to plan?
No, it hasn't. Certainly not gone according to plan. They're defending champions. There's a new captain. Not much change in the lineup though. I mean, in terms of personnel, I think they've sort of added similar kind of personnel that they lost out from the champion side last year. So in that sense, not much change, but I guess, the top order not firing, especially the openers, which was the case last year. I mean, they won because the top order was really firing. Sunil Narayan and Phil Salt, so that's something that they're missing this year.
I mean, this could be 3 losses on the trot if they don't get it right, Danny, and it would have started with that game at Chandigarh that you saw, and we were gobsmacked. We ran out of words. No matter what happens, you're supposed to chase 115. Do you sense somewhere teams also still not gotten over that, poor Knight Riders?
yeah, there is that about it, isn't it? And it's such, as we know, fairly. I mean, it's a long tournament, but there's sometimes the turnaround's quite quick. But I look at that, and as all good salesmen of the game, we said on air, look, hello, this hasn't had this side bat second yet, so don't count your chickens, folks, and you never know. And certainly when you think about spinners and certain Mr. Chahal coming into his own, he changed the whole course of that contest. So it was fascinating to be on right then with Pommy and Bunga and Simon Kadich.
Could you give me an inkling of what the KKR players look like? I remember Andre Russell because we saw him and he was heartbroken, crestfallen, bad on the ground. He's like, gosh, I could have taken them over the line. But while you were seeing Punjab go berserk, did you get an eye on what KKR was like and what their mood was like?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that dugout and they're cruising, right? They're absolutely cruising at the start there.
Yeah.
And then, and which tends to happen in any form of white ball cricket, just the domino effect, boom, boom, boom. And then the doubt starts to creep in, and you just love looking at those pensive faces in the dugout. They're just like getting shell-shocked. And then the way Janssen came back, knocked over Big Dre, brilliant.
Oh, it hurt. Now what's happened at the Eden Gardens, they'd probably think they wouldn't mind chasing. Today it's happened in the other way. Dustin, Punjab won the toss and are batting first. And I believe this is the same surface where GT played such a professional clinical game against KKR last time round.
Well, 3 of the games at Eden this time have been won by the team batting first, 3 out of 4. I don't think a team has chosen to bat first though. That's been when, in fact, the last 2 games KKR won the toss, chose to chase and lost.
Yes.
So maybe Punjab have picked up on that and decided to bat first, although I don't know about the dew in Calcutta.
They should be. I mean, at this time you generally have dew, but probably because of the way KKR is batted and also just the discussion about the last game where they couldn't chase down 111, maybe that probably has influenced their decision.
It's interesting you say that. Punjab were one of the teams who actually started wanting to bat first this season. They started that and they started playing at home. They batted first against Chennai, Hyderabad, and in this reverse fixture too. Then they switched it around a bit. Do you still sense that this is down to the opposition today or Punjab's own, shall I just say, skepticism perhaps when it comes to wanting to chase?
A bit of both, I think,
Yeah.
because their openers haven't really fired when they've chased down or looked to chase down a target. And Punjab, again, have depended heavily on those 2 youngsters, giving them a flying start. And this probably gives them freedom too. There's no pressure of a scoreboard. You're just going there and batting with freedom. And those 2 youngsters, if they can get past that 6 overs, it'll be really interesting.
Ponting likes that too, to be fair, over a long period of time in his own career with the Aussies. They love putting on a total and putting pressure on the opposition.
All right, let's look at teams. Some interesting news came through on our live comms page as well, where Powell was actually handed his cap by Abhishek Nair. We'll confirm who he's in for in just a second. But first, the Punjab Kings batting first after winning the toss. Changes. Azmatullah Omarzai returns. He started the season with them, and then they've been using that space for the likes of Marcus Stoinis, who I don't see in today's team. Josh Inglis is still there. Maxi's back. And no Xavier Bartlett either. This is the batting first 11. They'll perhaps have the option of one of Vaishak or Harpreet Brar in the second innings. But Maxi returns, Anil Kumble.
Yeah, I think, when you have a player like Maxwell, you're hoping that, the second part of his innings in the Tata IPL will be better than the first one. He was given a couple of games break, and he's come back. So that's one of the reasons probably, Punjab have taken a call. And if you look at the middle order, they haven't really been performing. The overseas, the reason that Punjab are at that spot is thanks to the Indian players.
Yeah.
All of them have been performing, except probably a Marco Janssen, who's sort of put his hand up with the ball. Otherwise, it's been the two youngsters at the top, Shreyas Iyer, then of course, Nehal Vadera and Shashank Singh in the first game. So it's been the Indian players who've been sort of putting their hand up, even with the ball. So yeah, no wonder they're struggling with the overseas and hoping that these guys will come good.
I wonder what the motivation is to get back Omarzai, as well as is Maxi the bowler perhaps been a bigger contributor this season than the batter?
He's lucky that that's come good for him, and he's a bit of a golden arm. He gets a dangerous player out at a key moment. And when sadly for Marcus Stoinis, you look at his numbers and he hasn't. So yeah, Maxi, and you just think, and he's an X-factor player. You've got to hope, of course everyone is in Punjab, that he comes off and he can actually have a decent night with the blade.
I think a big thing is that KKR have a lot of left-handers, and a lot of left-handers who don't strike too fast against spin.
Right.
I think Venki Iyer, Rinku Singh both strike at under 130 against spin, and then Maxwell taking the ball away from them. That could be a big factor in the decision.
I know somebody on our couch, I think it was Finchy, or was it someone before him, who said, for a player like Maxwell, sometimes it's not the worst thing if he's not performing, to give him a game out. And then when he comes back, there's a little more to prove, or a little bit of hunger now. Only one man is managed. I would say managed with a very careful term. And Glenn Maxwell on this couch before, do you sense that kind of managing of Maxwell is sometimes effective?
Yeah, I mean, you're always hoping that he'll come good, because that's why teams...
With a capital H.
That's why teams go for a Maxwell, because when he comes good, he takes the game away from the opposition in very less time. And that's what I think even Punjab will be hoping. There are two mystery spinners in Sunil Narayan and Varun. Yeah. So obviously with this Maxi's unorthodox approach, Punjab are hoping that they'll be able to unsettle those two guys.
Yeah, I wonder if managing Maxi is ever a term used in cricket. Like, can you manage Maxwell, or can you just...
Fascinating, isn't it, really, when you think...
Subject.
He's had some big price tags, and that's been discussed a lot over a long period of time. And remember in the UAE, he didn't hit 1-6?
Yeah, that was when I was coach. I mean,
Danny, don't remind
me. We were managing COVID protocols, because those were important too. So.
Brilliant.
What was easier?
He's an interesting kid. Oh, look, and he is, you're right. I mean, he's a class act. It's just, I think over a long period of time, you can be a bit frustrated with how much you'd like him to deliver more. Of course you would.
This is actually one of his Moneyball seasons, isn't it? Because he's picked up for a fairly average or moderate price. So you're now looking at Maxwell in a very different light than times when he's at price tag pressure. And
I don't think he's worrying about his next meal, is he?
I don't think 3 generations of Maxwells need to worry about that either, Danny. What about KKR? We saw Powell get a cap. Who's he in for? I can immediately sense that there's no Moeen Ali. So he is out. And Ramandeep has also been dropped. Chetan Sakaria, who was actually a replacement player in this team, is now going to get his first game of the IPL. Sakaria, of course, came in for Umran Malik, who was ruled out before the tournament. As far as the rest of the team goes, they choose to show faith in Gurbaz ahead of Quinton de Kock. Rest of the team stays the same. Thoughts, Anil?
Oh, I would have loved to have Nokia in that list.
Yeah.
Because, he's express pace, and especially to rattle the two youngsters up top. Top 3 have really performed when Punjab have done well. you would require that extra space. But otherwise, I think a good move to bring in Powell, because their middle order hasn't really fired. The openers haven't done well. The middle order has got stuck, even in the last game against Punjab when they failed to sort of get past at 111. So I think overall a good mix because they've had some time to think.
Yeah.
And they're hoping that this team will get those 2 points for them and then hopefully get back into their winning ways.
Yeah, Nokia is an interesting one. The only game he played was the Punjab game at Chandigarh, and it looked like a plan to bowl to the two kids up top.
I laugh. He had to swap his bat. They've been measuring the bat. The umps.
Yes.
He had to swap his bat. What, you're going to get the lighter one to run faster with the lighter bat. I was obviously having fun. But yeah, wasn't that bizarre? And now here you are on now isn't it fascinating when you think about Kolkata years ago, pre-COVID used to grip a bit, right, and rip. But now it's beautiful. It just doesn't nibbles around and the paces love it. Oof.
I don't know what to expect from the surface at the Eden Gardens, but I can only say good things about it.
Of course.
I'm sure asking you, Danny.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is that extra pace, as you say, it's such an X factor, key factor to get stuck into guys. It's a bit like when I think, Sunil Narayan, bless his socks, he's turning 37, he's not 27.
Yeah.
So you think about him, he's got to get bombed early. I keep saying this, you've got to get it in around here and in here early. He gives himself, but you know what he's going to try and do. You never let him try and thrash you down here or over back over. You got to bomb him.
And Sakaria is not that kind of bowler, so wonder what that tells us about the surface, which did turn in the game against GT, and it's the same surface. But the bigger conversation here surely is about KKR's batting, that inability to chase 112 in the game we spoke of against Punjab, the fact that they were so out of it. Their batting order has been questioned multiple times. There's a chase against Lucknow here in the afternoon where they were well ahead and somehow fell short there too. So Dustin's dug up plenty of numbers on their challenges with the bat. Take it away, Dustin.
Yeah, so I think with KKR's batting lineup, when you look at it, it looks power packed and, it looks like it's a very long batting lineup. I think in the last game they batted till 9. But there's a lot of batters, especially after the openers, who are very role specific. They like to bat in certain phases of the game and against particular types of bowling. So, for example, Rahane, great in the power play, strike rate under 120 in the middle overs. You've got Rinku and Venki, as I was mentioning, who strike at less than 130 against spin. So, if they come on, you can get the spinners on. You think, okay, Moeen's not playing this game, but otherwise you could bowl pace to him. And then you have people like Russell, who they want to only bat lower down. So what happens is, if the openers come off, it's great because everybody bats in the position that they want to when, they have the matchups in their favor. But the moment they lose early wickets, it's the bowling team that can choose the matchups. And there always seems to be a weakness in the batter that they can kind of prey on, which maybe, it doesn't excuse not chasing 112. But in some of the other games, I feel like that's been the issue for KK.
I love that word, prey on. The bowlers can prey.
Yeah, it does look like oppositions are able to be a step ahead of KKR, in spite of what looks like on paper a very long and deep batting lineup.
That's one of the reasons why I feel that someone like an Andre Russell needs to go up the order. His entry point needs to be around the 10th, 11th over. And you want a couple of proper batters to be available to be with him rather than him standing alone with the tail doing all the hard yards. Whether it was 111 or whether it was even 17 runs and over or 16 runs, that's too late.
Yeah.
Too late for a Dre Russ. Because no matter what form he is in, when he takes guard, bowler will be sort of, he knows that, look, if I don't pitch it in this area, I'm going to go. So that's something that I think KKR needs to take advantage of.
Yeah, the question is that once you put him up, you then have to manage a few other batters who may not be great coming in. I'll just give you some numbers to add to Dustin's points today. But as far as their opening partnership average goes, it's actually bottom of the league. Yeah. So they've not been able to nail that for starters. Middle order average is also bottom in the league. So as far as just averages go, even strike rate, that it's not reflective of a strong and deep batting lineup. And middle overs 7 to 16, you can have a look at that too. Something is just not working. Now, the minute you put Russell, say, let's assume Anil, you're saying put him up, say 10th over. Yeah. That means Venki Iyer is coming lower, or that means, Raghuvanshi becomes completely redundant. So they're having to think about a lot of guys who, like Dustin says, are very specific.
No, I understand, but I still feel that someone like a Raunak Powell is there now. So he can certainly, he has the power game. So him and Rinku Singh, I think you need to separate. You don't want a Russell and a Raunak Powell. Yes, ideally, if things are going your way, then yes, two of them will be dangerous for the opposition. But if you can put Russell up rather than Raunak Powell up and then separate them, and then you have yeah, if Venki Iyer has already batted, then it's fine, but don't put Venki Iyer and Rinku Singh together. You would want to break that, especially in the middle overs if the run rate isn't great.
Well, also, and we were discussing earlier today, was that the game's moved on. It's very different, and you've got to adapt. And so when you think about what he used to be able to do, Andre Russell, and then other personnel come in, and you were mentioning too those numbers, Dustin, that you have to be able to be flexible. And whether he comes in a perfect world, Andre Russell, and you're saying let's come in for the last 4 overs and smash it, well, the game's moved, or you can't keep taking it deep. You have to be able to dominate, and they haven't. They're 10th at the bottom in the opening partnership in the first 6 overs. You have to be able to help dominate that and do well in that to then set up those middle overs. And they just simply haven't been able to do that.
Do you sense the Rovman Powell inclusion is precisely for that, to send Russell up?
Yeah, and you could. I mean, I know we're talking 2018 when he was dynamic, Dre Russell, and it's a while ago. Let's be real.
Yeah. And
coming in at either 3 or 4, and if the situation arises and he comes in and he can dominate in the power play because he's coming in at 3, well, that's not happening anymore because you've got other personnel to do that now, and the man's in his mid-30s, so it's a different world, and the game's changed immeasurably.
I wonder how Ramandeep would feel about it, though, as a retained player and someone who we're looking at is potentially, someone who India should keep their eye on, and in a tough role.
Yeah, it's a tough role when you're batting at that number 7, number 8, or even sometimes number 9.
Yeah.
To come in there and then either win you the game where the run rate is 16, or when you're batting, you may get just a couple of balls for you to get a couple of sixes.
The funny part in this, I feel, Anil, is we're so deep in the league now. Is Rovman Powell, who's been sitting on the bench for best part of a month, in a better position to play a difficult role than Ramandeep, who's at least had some game time? It's the kind of call.
Yeah, it's a tricky call, but you have to take that call. So probably KKR have seen Rovman Powell really play well in the nets. He's hitting the ball well. Give him a go, and then hope that the middle order woes go away.
Here's my question, and being a coach, open wicket practices and scenarios, because you're talking about nets, because you can never really gauge, can you? So you have a lot of those, which I'd imagine, so that's good.
You would have a lot of scenarios, and that's where you sort of gauge a player, and consistently, you're also watching how a batter is actually playing in the nets, and that gives you an indication.
But that open wicket thing's huge, I reckon.
Oh yeah, it is.
The only thing about Rovman is, again, he's another KKR player who doesn't have the best strike rate against spin. Now, maybe the plan is to bring him in at the back end. Would that mean, because Russell, I think there's a perception he's not great against leg spin, but against Chahal specifically, he has a good record. So the idea would be maybe Russell is your spin disruptor in the middle?
Yeah, I think so. And the other aspect also is, if you're putting Russell in, like you said, every opposition will bring their best spinner on, which in this case, it's Chahal. So you would want that. You would want that as an opposition, especially when you know that you're chasing a target. You're chasing a target, the less number of overs, the second 6 or 7 overs, the last 7 overs that you have a Chahal coming in and bowling at a new batter, the better off KKR are. So maybe that's one of the reasons that I would look to push him.
120 is the strike rates against spin this season for pretty much everybody, from Rahane and Raghuvanshi to Venki, Rinku and Russell. One still feels, though, I think, Anil, we can go deeper on this point, that regardless of how deep their batting is now, even with Rovman Powell's addition, they seem to leave a lot for them to do. So let's focus on the first half. And Venki Iyer, high price tag. I feel bad when I bring in price tag. I genuinely do. It's no one's fault. No, I don't. You know that, Danny. But I have to keep saying I feel bad when. He said previously in the season, just because I am the highest paid player doesn't mean I have to perform every game. Fair enough. However, there is a real expectation of him to not underperform to such a degree. Do you sense that he's also not being used as well as he can be?
Yeah, I mean, that's where probably they had an opportunity in this game to sort of move Venki right up the order. Open the batting and with Sunil Narayan, and then bring in an Indian wicket keeper. Anyway, they're looking to drop Ramandeep.
Right.
So look to drop Ramandeep. Okay, fine, get Sisodia in. He's not a bad player. He can keep wickets. Bring him in instead of Ramandeep, and then bring Nokia, because Nokia can play instead of Chetan Sakaria.
So they could have accommodated it, but Venki at the top gives them what that they're missing right now? Or is it just for Venki's own form?
On his own. I mean, he needs that pace of on the ball, and you have 6 overs, you have the power play, so that's where he can play his natural game, hit over the top. and that's something that he has done in the past.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's not that. That's how he sort of got KKR back into that playoffs. You know, they were literally down and out in Dubai, and
They opened with-
they opened
yeah,
the
absolutely.
batting, and when Owen Morgan was the captain, and that's how it changed.
Yeah.
And just to provide some numbers to that, even last season, when KKR had 6 entry points in the power play, coming up at number 3, about 50-55 balls in the power play, striking at 220 in the power play. So he was getting his fast starts in the power play. This year, he's only had about 10 or 11 balls in the power play, and he's had to come in the middle overs where he's not as strong. So that might be another reason to push him up at least to 3, if not opening.
Okay. I mean, there's one of those. You normally are putting left-handers there if they can take down spin, but he doesn't have big numbers against spin. That's what we've discussed.
Yeah, but in the power play, you might be facing
Correct.
pace.
Yeah.
right?
So I'm saying that it seems like a fairly, it seems like a slight, whether you can pinpoint on the management that when they appointed Rahane captain, Rahane doesn't go anywhere below 3.
No.
Narayan stays at the top, and Sunil Narayan's not the player than he was last year with the bat.
Do you have to have him there? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we?
That's the other point. I mean, and who do Punjab look at? It's going to be a Maxwell in the power play because Chahal rarely bowls in the power play. So it's only going to be Maxwell bowling at the 2 left-handers. So I think that's a challenge that, you know, as left-handers you would like to take.
They actually seem to already have a decent bunch of seam options to throw at them. Arshdeep, Marco Janssen, both have been very good. In fact, I think, Dustin, you've got some numbers on the Punjab bowling as well this season.
Yeah, I mean, Arshdeep, in terms of his economy, he's 5th best this season among everybody who's bowled a certain number of overs. So he's been overall very good. The other thing is he's been good across phases. I think his wicket split, he's got about 4 in the middle overs this season, which is different. He was known as someone maybe more as a death specialist, but yeah, he's got 2 in the middle, but then 4 in the power play, and just good across phases. And then Janssen, he didn't start maybe as well, but in the last few games, he's had a big impact. And he's a player, I think, you know, the way Janssen is seen outside the IPL is he's a real match winner. I mean, SA20, I think he's been top wicket taker last 2 seasons.
That surprises me, the amount of impact the middle overs that Janssen's had, right?
Yeah, through the middle 6 wickets. And just overall, if you look at the last 3 games, he's had a very good economy rate. And I think we are maybe seeing the best of Janssen now in the IPL.
We talked to him during that game, the 1-1-1 game, and I remember being on and just having a question to him about perhaps not bowling so much in the power play, and has that irked you a bit? Because you think for South Africa and other sides, he's done that, and he of course, height factor, gets a bit of shape.
Yeah.
You can just tell he wants to, but he says, look, I'm here to do what my role is required. And in a way, he said, look, it's also helping my development to learn to bowl better in those middle overs. So it's a bit of a win-win, but you can also tell he'd love to have that hard new rock in his hand.
As a fast bowler yourself, what do you sense has been his biggest challenge from bowling new ball to starting off in the middle with how the game's going right now?
And I think also from his perspective, he also mentioned that you're learning to bowl different cutters and then get very comfortable about coming left arm round, because as I've always said, left arm round, you just change, it's just freaky, different angles and everything. It's brilliant. And if you can learn to get that Yorker, is another thing he was talking about, because it's an older ball, it's a little bit easier for us mere mortals to try and bowl Yorkers with a non-new ball, an older ball to hold on to and all of that sort of thing. So, you know, there's plenty of stuff for him to work on, which he mentioned in that interview.
Let's talk Yuzvendra Chahal today, shall we? And the season that he's had, you said he's got a interesting record against Russell. Who's it in favour of right now?
It's in favour of Russell. Russell struck at about 200 against him, and I think only 1 or 2 dismissals. But, I mean, he's had a big impact against more or less everybody, and there have been games where, for example, against Puran, he didn't have a good record, but came in and got him out. So.
Yeah, and there, of course, there are games where he's not even been bowled till as late as the 16th, 17th. Though I wish Anil Kumble was with us that time, but he's with us today. Are we going to see a attacking use of Yuzvendra Chahal on what's a surface that tends to assist spin?
Yeah, I think so. I think in terms of, you know, when you have your match winner as a bowler, even if it means you need to use 4 different spells of 1 over each, you need to bring him on when you know that you need a wicket. And irrespective of who the batter is, whether the matchups work, whether they don't work. I know analysis and analytics and data is a big thing, but then the match winner is what you look at. You know, it's you need to bring him on.
In the situation of the game, good captains, a hunch like, or speak to perhaps someone else, go, hey, look, I think I'm going to get him back.
Yeah.
So-and-so's on. I don't care about the history of the matchups.
Yeah.
I just got this feeling in the game and we need to get him out.
History's on his side as far as this opposition goes. 4 for 18 in the reverse fixture. 3 of his top 5 IPL figures have come against KKR. And he just loves playing against KKR. Are we at that stage where it actually plays into players' minds that I like playing against a certain opposition?
I mean, KKR have been very circumspect. In terms of the kind of batting prowess they have and the kind of, coming into this start IPL, they are the defending champions. So they need to be a little more sort of saying, you know what, we are here to sort of do it again. But they've been sort of holding back. So I don't know which KKR will turn up. So, when that depends on the score, of course, that they can defend.
Sure.
In the first innings.
Let's get straight into that then. First 6, always crucial. And Punjab give us plenty of action in the first 6. It's time for our Maruti Suzuki Arena presents Powerplay Conversations. Simran Singh, Priyan Sharia. We've had this chat before. Oh, should they, if there's something in the surface, should the two batters have a word and try and go differently? I said, can you imagine talking to Prab if you're Priyan Sharia to say, what do I do? Should I work it around a little bit? Same thing today from Punjab?
Same thing today from the two of them. First ball, run at the bowler.
Pocket rockets, just go.
Is that something that works for KKR though? When you know these two young Indian uncapped players are just going to come hard, do you already start thinking about, right, how we get it?
Well, just, again, we keep saying, and from the combox, just saying, the game has moved so much in the last 2 years. It's all those runs and that domination of batters, and we know they're going to be pretty good surfaces. But having spoken to the likes of Aaron Finch, Simon Katic in recent times, just to assess the conditions a little bit. Just don't go too wild. Yes, you're going to, because you can play catch up. We've seen it before. I'm talking in the power play only, obviously. So you just got to be a little bit sensible. I know you're dynamic and you can smash it out of the ballpark, but just again.
And Harshit Rana troubled them in that game, you saw. He got the top 3 pretty quickly. So Harshit is a threat for you today?
Yeah, again, those that can just get a little bit of movement in the air, might not be so much off the surface, and that's what is very dangerous as well, but that curve in the air, it doesn't last long, so you've got to make the most of that first dozen balls.
We got some numbers on spin against these two as well. Today, Priyansh and Prabsimran. Not a lot of teams have actually bowled spin to them. And what do we got, Dustin? 3 and 4, 7 wickets against spin for them. And the average is low, but they don't have Moin. I think Moin was the only spinner bowling power play for KKR pretty much today.
Yeah, I mean, Narayan can bowl in the power play, I suppose, so that's one option. But in general, Punjab they've been the best side in the power play in terms of run rate, but they've also lost 16 wickets at a rate of 2 wickets per game, which is the joint worst with SRH. So it's very clear that they're just going hard in the power play. If they lose wickets,
I think
there's a big reliance on Shreyas though. I think they're really relying on him to hold the innings together. I was looking at the 3 low scores they've had this season. The common factors, Shreyas has scores of 10, 0 and 6 in those 3 games.
Break it down, Anil, for the KKR plans. Are we seeing a spinner in the first 6 to take these?
Yeah, they will. I think it all depends on how these two batters go about in the first couple of overs. If they get out early to a fast bowler, then the fast bowler will continue. But if they get off to a good start, then I'm sure a spinner. I mean, even a Varun Chakravarti probably will see in the power play.
All right, it's time now for predictions. Priyan Sharia, Prabsimran, this Punjab side, maxi back, should be fun. Let's get some first innings predictions. GT got just over 200 this game, just under 200 in that last game where Shubman and Sai Sudarshan batted like they were from a different time. And 202 is the average score, I can let you guys know. That kept in mind. Dustin, first innings prediction?
I have a good feeling about Shreyas Iyer today, so I'll say 212.
Okay, Mr. Kumble.
No, looking at the changes that KKR have made, I think it's going to be a slow surface. I'm looking at a 165.
Ooh, 165, right in the middle, right? Danny Morrison, you've got a lot of range.
We have, let's be sensible. No, does that go with us?
First ball 4.
Yeah, I'll go. I want to go 180. I want to see some entertainment, but I do hear what you're saying on the surface. I'm going 180.
Excellent. I'll just safely say we'll be somewhere close to 60 for 4 or something at the park. We'll have runs, we'll get wickets, we'll get everything. 70 for 4 maybe. Danny Morrison, thank you very much. Anil Kumble, Dustin, let's pick up the chat at the end of the Punjab Kings innings. On our way out though, you might remember, of course, we launched the initiative of ESPN Cricket for Criccaster powered by Nexa. We're looking for that next passionate voice in cricket. We're down to our top 4, and why don't you have a look at another one of our final 4 contestants. This is Dhruv Shukla, who also interviewed Rudra Dhande, a 28-year-old Mumbai cricketer hoping to break through the domestic ranks. Have a look at that chat, and we'll see you at the end of the Punjab innings for Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Time Out.
Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting France with turbo booster jet engine.
Nexa.
Mumbai is a city of stories, of boys and girls who dream big, but are faced with even bigger delays. And amidst this chaos is a young man who's chasing his dream and building a life around it. It's a story of a talented top-order batter who's trying to make a mark in Mumbai's competitive cricket scene. He even shifted to railways a few years ago. But now, he's back to the city of dreams to once again make his mark and break into the Mumbai ranks.
I think it's like a thankless job to be a cricketer till the time you make it at a certain level.
Correct.
मतलब क्रिकेट में पैसा है but people क्या देखते हैं IPL इंडिया लेकिन मतलब I think top 1% खेलता है IPL और इंडिया.
Absolutely. One interesting stat that I found was that you're one of the top 5 run getters in the under 25 level.
मतलब मैं top 5 में था but पापा को कहीं ये लग रहा था कि मैं top 3 highest run getter होना चाहिए था. I missed out on a couple of games जहाँ मैं जल्दी आउट हो गया. सिलेक्शन के बारे में नहीं सोचना है, हमें ये लेवल अचीव नहीं करना है. We just want to get better and go to the ground and put in the hard yards.
Rudra's story is not just about a cricketer, it's about a city of someone who's been injured, benched, yet still shows up the next day.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.